Have you ever stopped to consider what is actually hidden inside a baseball? Or how that pristine white sphere with flawless red seams transforms from basic raw rubber and unrefined leather into professional game-ready equipment? In this breakdown, we are taking a comprehensive step-by-step dive into the manufacturing of baseball equipment. We will cover everything from the innermost core all the way to the exterior cover and detail the crafting of wooden and metal bats down to the final brand stamping. If you have ever appreciated the sharp crack of a home run or simply held a standard baseball in your palm, stick around for the entire sequence. Before any baseball receives its characteristic red threading or sleek leather skin, the fabrication begins with a fundamentally simpler material, solid rubber. The true heartbeat of every single baseball is a compact, dense sphere composed entirely of rubber. This miniature core performs a significantly complex function. The specific rubber formulation is meticulously selected to achieve an immaculate equilibrium between overall mass, kinetic rebound, and structural durability. If the material is excessively soft, the projectile will lack flight distance. If it is exceedingly hard, making contact will resemble striking solid stone. Industrial fabricators form this raw rubber into a perfect sphere by administering extreme thermal energy combined with immense physical pressure. That compression guarantees it maintains sufficient density to remain rigid after absorbing hundreds of high-velocity impacts. Following the molding phase, facility technicians physically scrutinize the spherical geometry, exact weight, and rebounding capability. Any defective core is immediately rejected. Once the central core is fully approved, it receives structural reinforcement through a tightly constrained wrapping mechanism. This is the complex science of internal windings. Imagine gripping that solid rubber center and looping it continuously with hundreds of consecutive yards of industrial string. This winding phase revolves entirely around tensile strength, internal structural architecture, and physical equilibrium. Automated machinery handles the looping action utilizing fine threads of specialized yarn chosen for their elasticity, structural firmness, or surface friction. These internal thread layers are strategically stacked to increase overall mass, assist the sphere in maintaining its permanent shape, and guarantee the object responds identically regardless of how many times it is pitched or struck. Visualize these textile windings as an internal skeletal system. The more tightly and uniformly the threads are applied, the higher the performance level of the finished ball. Uneven wrapping would cause the object to oscillate mid-air. For this reason, the automated winding equipment is calibrated to an astonishing degree of precision. Once secured, the core transitions into a significantly fortified mass prepped for its exterior coating. Whenever the public visualizes a standard baseball, their minds immediately default to the outer casing, that pristine, smooth white leather surface providing the universally recognized aesthetic. Achieving that exact leather specification demands rigorous sorting and skilled artisanship. Industry suppliers primarily utilize premium cowhide to construct this outer shell, as it is highly durable, inherently pliable, and features the exact surface texture required for optimal finger traction. Trained technicians manually inspect the raw animal hides, actively scanning for visual defects, natural scarring, textural stretch marks, or structural vulnerabilities. Any compromised sections are discarded. From there, heavy-duty presses stamp out two flawlessly proportioned figure-8 sections of the material. This leather barrier is required to withstand violent bat collisions, abrasive impacts with dirt, and exposure to all variations of meteorological conditions. This organic coating simultaneously influences the object's atmospheric travel, introducing necessary aerodynamic drag and surface friction to assist pitchers in executing complex maneuvers like breaking balls. The dual leather sections are then paired directly with the completed wound core for the binding process. Proceeding stitch by stitch, we arrive at the procedure that renders a baseball immediately identifiable. Those vivid red seams continuously looping across the white exterior. This feature dictates the athletic performance of the equipment. Every single individual baseball sanctioned for official use is bound completely by human hands, requiring precisely 108 overlapping double stitches to permanently enclose the casing. Every puncture utilizes heavily waxed crimson-colored threading, selected for its immense tensile strength and its ability to repel thermal wear and liquid saturation. Red strings provide superior visual contrast, crucial for a pitcher's grip placement and allowing hitters to visually track the rotational velocity of an incoming pitch. The figure 8 configuration actively manipulates the atmospheric current traveling across the surface during a high-speed release. An operator must apply enough tension to every loop to guarantee a hermetic seal, yet avoid excessive force that would physically distort the leather panels. A specialist may require up to 15 minutes to manually bind just one individual unit, ensuring the seams remain completely immovable under relentless blunt force trauma. Following the hand sewing, the object requires an exterior pigment and finalizing of the surface. Every fully assembled unit is treated with a fine coating of stark white pigment. This proprietary chemical compound is formulated explicitly to adhere to organic skin, deflect abrasive soil, and withstand the aggressive accumulation of perspiration and clay. Immediately following the drying phase, corporate emblems and official association insignias are mechanically pressed or thermally transferred directly onto the curved surface, acting as verifiable proof that the equipment satisfies stringent regulatory benchmarks. With the physical construction entirely finished, the ball enters comprehensive auditing. Achieving perfection here is a non-negotiable requirement. Dedicated auditors actively scan for microscopic abnormalities. Every unit undergoes strict metric evaluations concerning its physical dimensions and total mass. The regulation perimeter must measure slightly above 9 inches, whereas the acceptable mass parameters are strictly isolated between 5 and exactly 5.25 ounces. Impact compression analytics calculate the exact degree of structural deformation under extreme pressure. Units that bypass all metric gates are hermetically secured and staged for global distribution, while rejected units are repurposed strictly for batting practice. While the sphere itself is complete, a pitched ball possesses zero utility without an accompanying striking implement. We transition into the bat milling facility, commencing with solid classic wood. Prior to metallic alloys, the sole available resource was natural timber, and within the highest tiers of professional competition, that mandate remains in effect today. The supply chain originates within commercial forestry operations, primarily utilizing premium maple, white ash, and yellow birch. Maple possesses immense hardness, ash presents a reduced weight profile with increased flexibility, and birch occupies a functional middle ground. Harvested tree trunks are sectioned into dense cylindrical blocks known as billets and subjected to controlled dehydration to achieve an exact internal moisture percentage. The raw billets are mounted onto industrial high-speed lathes that actively mill the solid block into the universally recognized tapered geometry of a striking tool. Skilled operators rely on precise calipers to sculpt total length, peak barrel diameter, and handle graduation. The wooden surfaces are abrasively polished, corporate emblems are thermally branded, and multiple layers of protective lacquer are sprayed onto the exterior to provide a defensive seal. Conversely, aluminum models have thoroughly revolutionized the mechanics of the sport across amateur tiers, high schools, and collegiate brackets. These metallic counterparts are violently forged utilizing unforgiving industrial exactitude. The base component is high-yield, aviation-certified aluminum alloy. Extended cylindrical metal bars are sectioned off into dense blanks and subjected to deep-hole drilling down their central axis, creating the hollow tube that functions as the barrel's internal cavity. That absence of interior mass allows these models to maintain a significantly reduced total weight. The material then undergoes impact extrusion, where 300 metric tons of raw kinetic pressure forcefully elongates the dense aluminum segment into the preliminary shape of a bat. The metallic shell is chemically washed to strip away industrial lubricants. Absolute linearity is critical. Even a microscopic deviation in the straightness of the taper can completely derail a hitter's mechanics. Every unit is rigorously inspected and physically recalibrated, utilizing extreme hydraulic pressure until perfect alignment is achieved. Every final product must operate as a seamless biometric extension of the player's arms,
Sculpting an aluminum bat requires mastering balance and kinetic feel. Computer-guided lathes trim the metal to exact microscopic tolerances, while precise cuts define the barrel and handle. Before field authorization, the bat receives an aesthetic makeover. It is sanded smooth, coated with high-durability paint to withstand violent hits, and sealed with a glossy polyurethane layer to prevent corrosion. The final physical touches include press-fitting an end cap to improve energy transfer, welding a metallic knob to the base for balance, and wrapping the handle in a textured synthetic grip. Next, the bat enters the quality control lab to meet strict performance standards. Robotic arms swing it hundreds of times to check for metal stress, and specialized tests measure the trampoline effect. With the equipment fully verified, it heads to global distribution. Baseballs are boxed in protective cardboard sleeves, often shipped in temperature-controlled conditions for the pros, while bats are protected in high-density foam tubes. From the initial tanning of a cowhide to a game-ready baseball, the entire process takes about 10 months of intense preparation, all coming together so the athletes can finally initiate the action.